Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson designed a symbol to represent the history, pride, and accomplishments of African Americans in response to the struggles of 1960s America. Charles tells his story about the creation of the Black American Heritage Flag.
I think one of the interesting points about the creation of the flag in the mind is that it was in both our minds for a long time. Even as a child at 3 years old, I would go and sit on the curb in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and watch the parade go by. I see the American flag, and I see the flag that represents Italian, Spanish, whatever it might be, and they would march up and down the street honoring the 30th of May. And then when it came time for the Negro, at that time we were called, I remember every year we would march down, and guess what? All we had was the American flag. And I went home to my mother, and I remember asking her, and I think I couldn't have been no more than 5 or 6 at that point. I said, Mommy, why don't we have a flag? But every once in a while, it would creep into my mind. Until one day, when this gentleman by the name of Gleason T. Jackson, a neighbor of mine, sat down with me and started talking about the idea of something we could do in the 60s about trying to make progress for our race of people. And then he mentioned the word of a flag. I said, if you're willing to try, I'm willing to be there with you. I have great thoughts about it. I think it will take some time, but I want to design a flag. And that's when we started. The next process was for us to be able to get together, to sit down and talk about what we wanted to put in the flag. But after about 2.5 weeks, we came up with this idea to make a flag that had diagonal stripes of red and black, and to have a fig wreath circled in the center of it, and a blunted sword. And of course, we had to recognize that each item, we had to have some sort of explanation. And then when we looked at the blunted sword, we thought of the feeling of having pride, and also knowing that when you have a blunted sword, when you blunt it, you learn to curdle the earth. And then we thought about the wreath, which we also had in the color gold, that would be for peace, prosperity, and everlasting life. And the red would be for the rich blood we've shed for freedom, justice, and human dignity. And the color black was for the pride in our pigmentation. The inspiration basically came from us sitting down, not only sitting down and talking about it, but I would go to the library, he would go to the library. We'd both go. And we sat down and looked at all the different items. There's a thought pattern that we put into it. I mean, I think about, it was a piece of the musician in me. There's a piece of the businessman that was in me, and there was a piece of the child that's still in me. That I could stand there and wave the flag. Well, the first thing we did with it was, our thoughts were, we have to let the community know about it. And of course, Gleason and I decided one day that we would go down to City Hall to make this happen, that we would be able to unfurl the Black American Heritage Flag. Well, of course, when we laid this plan out to the mayor at that time, He was absolutely, unbelievably stunned that we would come with a thought like that. And of course, we had the thought of saying, we can make this happen. That was in our hearts. There was some opposition to it. But the fact of the matter is, we had come up with a final decision that the flag would be put up on March 5th at City Hall in Newark, New Jersey. Wow, what a wonderful moment to see something like this actually happen. And as we got closer to City Hall, on a flagpole standing outside, on a high flagpole, we saw the Negro flag being unfurled. What a wonderful moment for Gleason T. Jackson and Melvin Charles. I felt like I had won the Super Bowl. I really thought that way. I saw this happening. And I was very proud of it. And I'm proud of it every time I see it unfurled. I'm proud of it every time I speak about it. I'm proud to be here at this very moment of my life to speak to you about it.
Melvin Charles died on March 15, 2017, at the age of 79. We honor his legacy as the creator of the Black American Heritage Flag and author of the book, The Rallying Point, which chronicles